Okay, let's solve the Christmas tree problem. This is where we left off. We have set up an equation to solve, but we also need to remember that this equation is related to A, B, and C from the Pythagorean triangle. So your steps will be, in this problem, you're going to simplify each side of the equation. That means you're going to get rid of parentheses. You will then combine any like terms you have. Next, you will get everything on the left side of the equal sign, leaving only 0 on the right. You will factor that left side of the equal sign completely. Once you have factors, you can take each factor and set them equal to 0. Solve them. Once you have some answers, you check those answers to see which one is your answer, is valid for the question we have. So let's get started. Here's our equation. The best thing to do with these is to really rewrite them so you can see what you're looking at. I'm not going to cross that equal sign with any kind of solving yet. I'm going to just rewrite this equation so I can see what's happening. H minus 49 squared is the same as H minus 49 times itself. So it's H minus 49 times H minus 49. And H plus 1 squared is the same as H plus 1 times itself. So here I have H plus 1 times H plus 1. Now to get rid of these parentheses, I need to FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. Okay, now that we've written them out, let's go ahead and FOIL. We have first times first. H times H is H squared. Outside times outside. H times negative 49 is negative 49H. Inside times inside, negative 49H. And last times last, negative 49 times negative 49 is positive 2,401. Let's not forget this H squared that was already here, so I'll bring that down. Over here, FOIL again. H times H is H squared. Outside, 1 times H is just H. 1 times H again, 1H, but we don't write those ones. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Now that we have FOILed it out, very likely there will be like terms. So we look for those and combine them. So we have 2H squareds there, 2H terms, and over here we have 2H terms. 2H squared, negative 49H and another negative 49H. We add those together and get negative 98H. And then that 2,401. Here on the right we have this H squared. H plus H is 2H plus 1. Alright, so now we need to get all these letters over to the left side of the equal sign. We want nothing but 0 over here on the right. To do that, I'll do the opposite operator. So to get rid of H squared, I will subtract H squared. H squared minus H squared is 0. I'm only allowed to do this if I also do the same exact thing on the other side. I'm going to go find a like term to line it up with. Subtract it. 2H squared minus 1H squared is just H squared. Get rid of this 2H by subtracting. Line it up next to the other H term. Following our rules for addition, if I have two negatives, I actually add the numbers and keep that negative sign. So 98 and 2 is 100. But it's a negative 100H. And then one more, I'm going to subtract this 1. Here that's a 0. line it up with the other number only term, and subtract. Okay, so we have h squared minus 100h plus 2400 equals 0. Just one equation we can sure to factor if it's in descending order, high power to no power. Then this last term is the term we use to find our product. And the middle term is the term we use to find our sum. So I'm going to go ahead and start myself a chart. Positive 2400, negative 100. When the numbers are smaller, it's often easy just to see what our two numbers that multiply to be the first thing, but add to be the second thing are. When it gets large like this, it can be difficult. So my tip is to be methodical. This one's going to take a while this way, but what I do is I take a calculator, I divide 2400 by the first counting number, so that's 1. Well, 1 times 2400 is 2400. And I go up from there. But before we do that, let's consider the signs. When you have a positive answer from multiplication, that means your signs were the same. Whatever those two things you multiplied together were, they had the same signs. Now, when you get a negative from adding, and I know the signs were the same, that tells me both signs had to be negative. I know they're both negative because the product told me they are both the same, and then the add told me that the sameness was negative. So now as I go down this list, I'm going to put negatives on each thing and then follow my rules for adding to see when I get the negative 100 as my sum. So negative 1 plus negative 2400 looks a little familiar. Negative 2401. Nowhere near what we had because before we had a positive 2401. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a negative 100 when we multiply. So I'm going to keep doing this. 2400 divided by negative 2 is negative 1200. Negative 2 plus negative 1200 is still not going to get me there. That is negative 1202. Negative 3. 2400 divided by negative 3 gives me negative 800. If I add those, I get negative 803. Keep going. 4. 2400 divided by 4 gives me negative 600, by negative 4. So negative 4 plus negative 600 is negative 604. 2400 divided by negative 5 is negative 480. Negative 5 plus negative 480 is negative 485. I need negative 100. 6 will go into it as well. 2400 divided by negative 6 is negative 400. We're getting closer. This number is going down closer and closer to negative 100. It's just going to take a little while. Negative 406. 7 does not divide evenly into 2400. 8 does. 2400 divided by negative 8 is negative 300. I am going to skip down for you so you don't have to keep watching me do this. And I'm going to go up. We've made it all the way to negative 25. So negative 2400 divided by negative 25 is negative 96. Negative 25 plus negative 96, negative 121. Very close. The next number that does divide into 2400 is negative 30. 2400 divided by negative 30 is negative 80. Negative 30 plus negative 80. So close. We have 110. If I keep going up, the next number that will work is negative 40. 2400 divided by negative 40 is negative 60. Negative 40 plus negative 60 is negative 100. So we've finally gotten there. The reason doing it this way works is because we are trying every number, starting at the number 1 and going up. If you know a little more about your divisibility numbers, as soon as I figured out 7 was not going to work, then I knew that any number that contained 7 wouldn't work. So if 7 doesn't work, 14 won't work, and 21 won't work. So I didn't have to divide every number. I only divided multiples of numbers that I already knew might have worked. So that might save you some time. Now that I've found it, this is a trinomial that has a coefficient of 1 on the squared term. That means when I find my winning pair, I am done with the factoring process. I simply put my h here and here, put minus 40 in one of them, and minus 60 in the other. So there's that step, factor completely. I'm going to take this to the next page, and we will then set each factor equal to 0 and solve them. Okay, set each factor equal to 0 and solve. That means I take my h minus 40, set it equal to 0, and separately my h minus 60, and set it equal to 0. Solve these little equations. The opposite of minus 40 is plus 40. So I'm going to add 40 on this side to get rid of that one. I'm only allowed as long as I add 40 on the other side of the equal sign. So my new equation is h equals 40. Do the same over here. Add 60. If I add 60 to one side of my equal sign, I must add 60 to the other. So I have h equals 60. We're not done, but we are almost done. I have two possible answers. How do I decide which one is my correct answer? That is when I now go back and pull out that A, B, and C. Figure out which one of these two answers makes sense for every one of those. So let me go back and grab that, and we'll go from there. Pull our A, B, and C from a previous page. We just solved and found out that either h is 40 or h is 60. So how do we determine which one is which? Well, I'm going to take this 40 and plug it into all of those. Remember, these are lengths, height of a tree, distance from the bottom of the tree to a point on the ground, and the length of a wire. This was C, this was A, and B. We can't have a negative length. There's just no way to do that. So when I plug 40 in, I should not get any negative answers. So if I say A is H, then A is just straight going to be 40. B is H minus 49. And this one says H is 40. What is 40 minus 49? This is then saying that b is negative 9. That is a negative length. We cannot have a negative amount of wire or negative distance. So we have checked that because b is showing as negative if the height is 40. This is not a correct answer. I'm going to go over here even though I only have one choice left. I need to double check. So if I have A is h, this time we're saying h is 60. Then that says A is 60. B says it is equal to h minus 49. So that is 60 minus 49. So that is 11. And then try one more. C is h plus 1. So C is 61. This one did work, so it looks like we found our answer